Welcome to APUS News. My name is Michaela Butler, and I'm going to be talking about the education reform in antebellum America. There were three important core concepts of the reform in antebellum period: education for the common man and woman, greater access to higher education, and schooling for free blacks. The common school movement was the belief that free schooling should be dedicated to all citizens, that ensured education and alleviation of problems facing the new republic. It was a type of formal education available to all citizens, developed and managed through increased government activity at state and supported by local property taxes. Common schooling was free and universal, and the main purpose was to provide a more centralized and efficient school system and discipline the emerging working class and prepare for life in an industrial society. And the most identified reformer was Horace Mann, a member of the state legislature of Massachusetts, also Secretary of the Board of Education, and his ideology was based on a strong sense of the Protestant republicanism rooted in secular, non-sectarian morality. He believed that education was a child's natural right and moral education should be the heart of curriculum. In order to accomplish education reform, Mann advocated state-controlled boards of education and a more uniform curriculum, along with greater state involvement in teacher training. And he was firmly convinced that education had the power to become stabilized as well as an equalizing force. Let's throw it to Ashley for more on the education reform.
Hi, my name is Ashley, and this is more on the education reform. In 1825 to 1850, the tax-supported public education triumphed. They used little red schoolhouses, and they became the imperfect shrine of American democracy. The school teachers that taught in the little red schoolhouses were ill-trained, ill-tempered, and ill-paid. They frequently put more lickin' with a hickory stick than on larnin'. Teachers only focused on the 3 R's, which were reading, writing, and arithmetic. Horace Mann, who was a graduate of Brown University, he campaigned for more and better schoolhouses, longer school terms, higher pay for teachers, and an expanded curriculum. This influence radiated out to other states and made impressive improvements among the country. Noah Webster, who is known as the schoolmaster of the Republic, devoted his 20 years to writing the dictionary, which improved the English language. William H. McGuffey was a teacher-preacher, and he published grade school readers, which sold 122 million copies, even though there were 1 million illiterate whites. In 1860, there were only 100 public secondary schools, and in the South, the black slaves and even free black people weren't allowed to go to school. For primary schools, there was scarce tax that supported them, and it's because they chiefly existed to educate the children of the poor. Advocates of the free public education system underwent stiff opposition from other people. The tax-supported public education system, however, triumphed between 1825 and 1850. The taxation for education was an insurance premium for stability and democracy paid by the wealthy people. Later, Thomas Jefferson declared that a civilized nation that was both ignorant and free never was and never will be. Now let's throw it to Sierra for mental health, because she's mental.
Ashley. A few of the ideas that were proposed on the mental health reform was that state-funded facilities should be established and devoted completely to the treatment of mental illnesses. Proposal 2 was that already established hospitals should incorporate treatments for mental patients into their already offered services. Third proposal was that people with mental illness should be treated with respect and given proper treatment. And it should be made illegal that people with mental illness should be put in prison or imprisoned against their will when they haven't performed any criminal acts, because prison is meant for criminal acts. Proposal 4 was that mental health patients in hospitals should be provided shelter, food, and clothing by the state if they're not in condition to buy those things for themselves. And the last proposal, proposal 5, was that we should separate the dangerous mentally ill from the not dangerous mentally ill for obvious reasons. The supporters of this mental illness reform were Samuel Gridley Howe, Nedley Bly, who eventually disguised as a mentally ill patient in a mission to investigate the conditions the insane were in, and Dorothea Dix. Dorothea Dix was once a school teacher, and she was considered the voice for the mad. She was the first to act upon the mentally ill and try and help the said mentally ill. So Dorothea Dix once said, "I have come to present you the strong claims of humanity. I come as the advocate of helpless, forgotten, insane men and women held in cages, closets, cellars, stalls, and pens, chained, naked, beaten with rods, and cast into obedience because of the mass movements that were happening in this time." The primary problems of the mental health reform that they were trying to address was the fact that people abused the mentally ill because they didn't understand what was going on. Some of the solutions that were proposed were separate the mentally ill patients from prisons and place them into different facilities of their own. Appropriate money to expand state hospitals to put the mentally ill patients in, and after the hospitals were already expanded, Dorothea Dix proposed to expand again in 1854. And all of this was really opposed by society because people didn't believe that there was really anything actually wrong that could be fixed. So they put them into prisons and tortured them. The goals of this mental health reform were very realistic and very effective because it was reasonable to take action to care for the mentally ill up until 1848. But Dorothea Dix's goal was too high. She asked for 5 million acres to fund the expansions of the mental hospitals that nobody had. And that's all we have for today on the mental health and education reforms. Thanks for watching.
Hi, do I have to start again? The teachers only thought that there were 3 reformers that were in the advocates of the free public education system.
Proposal 2 was that all established hospitals should of the many helpers there were considered the problems attempted to be addressed were the abuse of the mentally ill because of up until 1848. But the goals for the mental ill, the goals of the